Good evening, my fellow aquarium scientists. Hope everybody is doing well today. It's been a while since we've done a live stream, so I thought, especially since the Keystone Clash is coming up, I thought, why not go live and update everybody. And I've got a few announcements I also need to make, so hopefully we'll do that today. And obviously, always up for questions. But we'll just give a few moments for notifications to go out and people to trickle in. I hope everybody's doing well. Oh, there's Silver Creek. Thank you very much for stopping by. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate it. Just waiting for people to trickle in, and then got some few things to talk about. We've got the Zen Ginger here today. How you doing? Thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate it. But yeah, so basically what I wanted to talk about were just some updates that are going on. Obviously, Keystone Clash is coming up, so I've got a few things I wanted to talk about that. And obviously, just answer any questions that people might have. I love when people ask questions because it brings out conversations and discussions. But yeah. You're unfortunately going up against the co-op today, so maybe not too many folks. I guess that's okay. You know, people who like Corey's stream can go on Corey's stream. People who like my stream can stay on here. So it's simple as that. Oh, there's Shady Grady. Thank you very much for stopping by. Hope you're doing all right. But yeah, so some really exciting news. Obviously, the videos for the saltwater planted tank are coming out. I've been really busy this past week editing those videos and trying to get them out for you guys, because my goal is to finish the entire series and have it published before the Clash, which I think I still have time. It's the Clash is 2 weeks away. But I'm hoping that you guys, the two videos that are up, a video just went up this morning. Zen, if you don't mind, there's actually a playlist for that series. So if you can share the link to the playlist, that's even better. But yeah, so if you've seen those videos, I hope you're enjoying them. I hope they're knowledgeable. I apologize for the first video. It's really long, but I wanted to make sure I talk about all the things that I needed to talk about. So, but yeah. And one thing I wanted to talk about in terms of the second video that just went out today, if you haven't watched it yet, there might be a little bit of spoilers, but might as well talk about it, because I want to clarify a few, basically one specific thing, and that's related to the salinity of the water in the tank. So I basically got pre-mixed salt water from the aquarium, from my local fish store, and a very amateur mistake that I made. And it was basically when I was filling up the buckets, I asked the person, I was like, what's the salinity of the water? For those of you who don't know what salinity is, that's the salt content. And so, and then she told me the amount. It was parts per thousand. I think she said somewhere around 20, upper 20s, and it didn't click at the time because I was in a little bit of a hurry because I was getting the water. I was coming from work. I just got off work and I stopped by there, and I was very tired and I just wanted to go home, and I got the water. I also needed a few other things, and I needed a lid. I needed a lid for the tank, so I got that as well. And I come home, and then I'm scaping the tank, filling it up with water, talking about salinity, and then I mentioned the salinity that they told me it was, and then it dawned on me that the salinity is low. For a fully salt water aquarium, salinity should be around like the mid 30 parts per thousand. Specific gravity is usually 1.2 to 1.24 ish, somewhere around that area, parts per million or specific gravity. And at first I was like, maybe I misheard. I didn't hear it properly. I was tired. I was in a hurry. And then so I used my hydrometer, which basically, let me show you what I'm talking about. Sorry about that. So this is a hydrometer right here. There's two ways you can measure salinity. Well, there's a couple of ways. Through conductivity and through specific gravity. Specific gravity in terms of the density of the water. Salt water is heavier than fresh water because of all the minerals and things like that that's in the water. And so this uses basically this little needle, utilizes the salt content, and it's buoyant, obviously, and it will basically approximately indicate what the parts per thousand is. So right over there, the parts per thousand, as well as the specific gravity or the parts per million. So this right here is, this is parts per thousand. This is specific gravity or parts per million. Okay. When I measured the water, sorry, it's really glary. I do apologize. It was like right below here. So it was barely up to even what Instant Ocean recommends the salinity should be range. It was below that. Which, you know, it's funny because when I was working at my university's aquaria lab, a lot of the tanks there are brackish water because we kept specimens that came from the estuary, and the estuary is obviously brackish water, and so the salinity isn't fully salt water. And the low 20s was usually the salinity we were going for. And so it's just I couldn't believe that I didn't dawn on me. And so I have a tank filled with water that's not up to the salinity that I need it to be. And so probably tomorrow or the day before or the day after, hopefully tomorrow after, if I get off work on time, I'm going to stop by the local fish store just to figure out why they're selling me salt water that's not up to appropriate saltwater levels, and what can be done about that, because I'm not buying salt to then put into the tank to get the salinity back up. And so I'm just annoyed by that. But I was just annoyed by that. So there is a bit of a delay in getting the inhabitants. I had to put off getting the inhabitants in, but yeah, so I just wanted to clear that stuff up in case people were very confused as to what I was talking about, especially if you are, you know, familiar with salt water. But yeah, anyway, Shay Gray says, boy, what a difference without your yeah, I decided to change things up a little bit. And it's funny because in the videos for the saltwater tank, you'll literally see half of the video with me with a beard, and then the other half I don't have a beard. I'm not very good with continuity in my videos. But yeah, I decided to change things up a bit. I am probably gonna, once October starts, I'll probably start to regrow it, because I am gonna be traveling overseas for something very important, and I think I might need to grow the beard out a little bit. But yeah, thank you very much, Zen, for sharing the playlist. I do appreciate it. If you haven't seen the videos yet, I strongly encourage you to do so. I'm sure you guys have been waiting for these videos as much as I've been dying to finish this project. I'm way behind schedule, and so some of the things for this tank were rushed more than I wanted it to be. Shady says I watched the first one. Nice, appreciate it. Yeah, the second video just went live 8 a.m. this morning, so I don't expect a lot of you guys to have seen the second video yet. Do you find hydrometer readings are not as precise as refractometers, or do you prefer them for some reason? No, so I prefer fractometers. Not only that, I also prefer salinity testers that use conductivity. So a lot of your probes, things like that. Hanna Instruments also sells a salinity tester which uses conductivity to determine salinity, and then but my preference is refractometers and conductivity probes. Hydrometers are a great start. I'm not bashing hydrometers, but they're just not as precise in my opinion. Sometimes if you don't get the air bubbles out of there properly, you can get a not so good reading. What I usually do with salinity is I use multiple ways of testing, and if it's off by just a little bit, I'll usually average it out. Or if I notice that two testers are having very close readings versus another one, I will go off of those and just determine that it's around that ballpark. My main thing with salinity is as long as it's up to the salinity that I've desired or is appropriate for the inhabitants, and it's consistent. It's not wavering too much. As long as it's a level salinity reading, there's no need for chasing numbers really. As long as it's all about observation. So as long as the salinity is desirable, your inhabitants are okay, they're loving life, that's all you need to do. With my case, the salinity is just too low for me to be comfortable but to put anything in there right now. So I need to go to my local fish store and kind of figure things out a little bit. Like I said, I'm not buying salt to get that salinity up. It's I don't want to. I've already spent a lot of money on top of what people have donated to get this thing up and running. So I need to really budget properly. And at some point, probably at the last video of the series, I'm actually going to break down the costs as well. I want to be a bit transparent as to what exactly went through this. And you obviously don't have to do it exactly the same way I did. I even mentioned it in the first video, is like for beginner people that are getting into saltwater for the first time, I wouldn't even recommend starting with a 10-gallon tank. I would go bigger. It's just a bit easier, to be honest. But I hope that answers your questions then. I know they measure slightly differently, which is why I ask if there's pros and cons I'm not aware of. Yeah, really, it's, you're gonna get some differences with all the type of testers. I mean, even Instant Ocean, on the packaging it says measures within 0.001 specific gravity. So there is some leeway. Obviously, maintaining your testers is very important. So like for the hydrometer, before you put salt water in here, you dip it into your tank to put salt water in here. You want to rinse it with fresh water. And then after you're done using it, you want to rinse it again with fresh water. I strongly recommend using RODI water, so you don't get any mineral deposits or anything from your tap. I don't have RODI water on hand yet, so I just used sink water, fresh water. But as long as you rinse it out with fresh water, it helps you maintain the tester. For refractometers, you'll be able to get solution that's specifically designed for refractometers. I've used RODI water to rinse refractometers after use, things like that. The same thing with if you're using salinity probes. you have to calibrate the salinity probes. You also have to calibrate refractometers as well, believe it or not. Which is why you want to, which is a whole different thing. But basically, with refractometers, you need to calibrate with salinity probes. You also have to recalibrate with solution and things like that. It's the care of your equipment. If you care for your equipment, you'll get more reliable results, if that makes sense. If you have chemicals they use for water testing and they're expired, I wouldn't really trust it as much as I would if it was brand new. So like I have one freshwater test kit where all the bottles are expired. And so, but for whatever reason, I still am not throwing them out and getting brand new bottles. But I need to do that. Hopefully after the clash, when I have some money, I'll probably do that. But yeah. And to be honest with you, refractometers are way more expensive, obviously, than hydrometers. But I would rather dish the amount for that will last you a long time with a bit more reliable results. And they're not that hard to use either. So, and a lot of seasoned aquarists use refractometers at the aquarium when I'm helping out with husbandry. We use refractometers as well. So. But yeah. Hello there, fish family. Thank you very much for stopping by. I never liked that dissolved organics or temp. I never liked that dissolved organics or temp could affect hydrometer readings. I like consistency even if it's not perfect. Yeah, temperature plays a big part in salinity because of the dissolvedness of it. It's if you're even when you're like mixing salt water, right? If you're trying to dissolve salt in cold water, it's going to take a way longer than it would for if the water was up to temperature, if that makes sense. And especially if you're making salt water that's going to be used for like water changes, for example, you want the salt water to be up to temperature, and that affects your salinity reading. A lot of your conductivity probes, as well as like the HANA checker that I was talking, the HANA Instruments salinity checker, uses temperature as a factor to determine what the salinity is. So temperature plays a big part in that, for sure. It's maybe more expensive, but it's like $30 for a decent one. It's not like a car payment. No, it's definitely not, for sure. Which is why I honestly recommend you to get a refractometer. I don't have a refractometer currently, and I needed something to test the salinity. And PetSmart was about to close, so I just ran there and grabbed a Instant Ocean hydrometer. It's great for just it's still a great tool to have. But yeah, and like even I sell a hydrometer, and it's not that expensive. Well, it's not on the website, but I can get in hydrometers, and not hydrometers, refractometers, and they're not that expensive. Hopefully my leg will be okay for the trip to the Clash. I have a new RO buddy and a used RODI unit I am planning on bringing and donating for a good cause. Aw, that's very kind of you. I do hope you come to the Clash, Shady. It would be nice to meet you there. Speaking of the Clash, so very busy with the Clash. My mom was just here before I went live, and we were talking about her helping me kind of get all the stuff packed up, ready to bring to the Clash. I'm still working on logistics on what I need to bring first and things like that. The macroalgae tank is the first thing that's going to be there, obviously, and maybe the plant racks or the plant tanks. But I just have to figure it out. And I keep telling myself I only have a week left when I actually technically kind of have 2 weeks left. But yeah, so things are getting very, very busy. There's also, a lot of things in my personal life that there's big changes coming to my personal life. That's just washed a lot of, things to me, mentally. So, I'm all over the place. But anyway, so pretty excited about the Clash. I can't wait for it. I always enjoy going to the Clash because I'm surrounded by people who have the same passion as I do. And so I'm really excited to meet you guys there. Um, in terms of Atlantic aquariums, so first things first. So if you remember, I mentioned that when the Clash is coming near, I open up the ability for you guys to place pre-orders for local pickup at the Clash, right? And it is open now. So if you were to place, let me share my link because I can actually show you what I'm talking about. Or not share the link, share my screen. Please bear with me. Cool. So here's the home page. So let's say you were looking for, you know, a new filter. Let's say let's say you've been eyeing that Oase canister filter and you really want it. And it's obviously the filters I don't ship. It's local pickup only. So great advantage for you to buy a filter, a Oase canister filter, and me bringing it to the Clash for you to pick up. But anyway, so let's say you were interested, in the canister filter. Do I not have these in stock? Well, scratch that. Let's look at the media reactors. If any of you are interested in the canister filters, let me know and I'll put it in stock so you can purchase it. But anyway, so let's say you were interested in the Nios Torque Generation 2 media reactor, which is great for freshwater and saltwater. If you have a sump, obviously you have to buy the base unit, which actually is the one that actually has the pump in it, and then basically these two things you have to buy together. If you don't have the other, if that makes sense. So let's say I want the Nios Torque, right? I want to get the dock and then why is that not coming up? There we go. Select the size. I want the smallest size, right? Add to cart, right? Cool. So I'm going to go to view cart. And I'm wondering, yeah, okay, cool. So where it says shipping right here, correct? Obviously it says $0 for USPS flat rate priority because this is over $100. So it's free. However, so for local pickup, you have two options. You have local pickup, which is you coming to me to pick up, and then you have Keystone Clash pickup. So what the Keystone Clash pickup refers to is you're going to place this order, and then you're going to pick up your order at the Clash, if that makes sense. And then you'll just go carry on with your checkout. And it'll give you instructions on what to do regarding the pickup, the address and all that stuff. Obviously, if you're coming to the Clash, you already know where to go. But yeah, let me remove these items from the cart. But yeah, so that's opened up. I'm not really ordering much to bring to the Clash, except for a few, except for some driftwood, as well as some Anubias on driftwood, and some plant weights. That's the only thing that I have currently on my order list to order for the Clash. Other than that, I'm not really going to be placing an order for any plants. Or any more dry goods really. So, but yeah, and I think that's all the inventory or all the stuff for the Clash I wanted to mention. Um, It's pretty cool that Pleco Ceramics actually signed up to be a vendor, considering I'm a Pleco Ceramics retailer. I actually sell Pleco Ceramics stuff, but I thought it was really interesting. There's two vendors there that are going to be selling stuff that I carry, and that's Cuboid, because they sell Wio, and then obviously Pleco Ceramics will be there. But it's I think it's cool. I was gifted one from Stephen P and Kelly, so I wanted to pay it forward. Aw, that's sweet of you. Thank you for that Fish Fam link. I appreciate that, and thank you for sharing that link, Zen. Surprised Scotty is not here, but then again, he is probably busy with work and Clash, so I don't blame him. But yeah. To be honest with you, I mean, I might change the date, the day and time of the live streams, because if let's be honest here, if Aquarium Co-op's gonna constantly go live during this time, then there's no point in me really doing the live stream. For those of you that are here, I greatly appreciate it. But yeah. And we got Whip here. Hey, Whip. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you stopping by. But yeah, so I strongly encourage you guys to watch the videos for the saltwater planet tank. Please comment in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think of it. This is my first time setting up a saltwater nano tank for macroalgae. Like I mentioned before, I'm more familiar and comfortable with coral than I am with macroalgae. So trying to figure that out. Yeah, Whip, I got a baby face. Don't worry, I'm gonna regrow my goatee at some point. What else did I want to talk about? Because I always feel like I've talked about everything I wanted to, and then oh yes. So I was in the process. I need your guys' input on something. So I was in the process of registering one of my male guppies for the fish show, and it's just one male guppy, and I can't figure out what size tank I should put on the registration form. At first, I was thinking a 2.5 gallon, because I think if I'm putting one guppy in a 10-gallon tank, what are the odds of the judges or anybody really seeing that fish? So I was thinking maybe putting it in a small tank, but then I'm like 2.5 might be a bit too small, and so I don't know what to do. So I need your guys' input, especially for those of you who have submitted fish for the show. And especially guppies. What size tank do you guys have? You guys put the guppies in for the show, because I really don't know. This is my first time ever participating in a fish show, so I don't know what to do, and I need help. I also need to fix my problem. Like, there should be a counter on my videos on the bottom of how many times I say Sen says, yeah, unfortunately, if people like Planet Tanks, they probably watch both of y'all. So if he gets there first, that does a number on your attendance, I'm sure. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I like Corey. He's a great guy. He's very knowledgeable. He's been in the business, and he's been on YouTube way longer than I have. So I get it. But but I'm also just not Planet Tanks. I'm everything that lives in water. You definitely need the goatee if you want to be called a professor. I can have a baby face and still be called a professor. Not all professors have beards and goatees. Most do, especially in the science field, I guess. Whip says 2.5 for a single guppy should be plenty. That's what I thought. Cool. because I remember on Scotty's stream, I asked him for advice. I was like, what size tank do you think would work for one guppy? And I mentioned, small. I told him I was thinking of getting this, signing up for a smaller tank, and he's like, no, you want to put him in a large tank, and this and I'm like, Scotty, it's one small guppy in a 10-gallon. You'd be lucky to see it. um but yeah, I kind of agree with you, Whip. I think the 2.5 would work best. There's no guarantee, obviously, that I'll get a 2.5-gallon tank, but I'll still put it on there. Shay says, I try as much as possible to participate. Sometimes I have to plug a dripping hole in my leg, and that takes precedence. Oh, of course. I don't blame you on that, buddy. All good. It's Laura. Hey, Laura. Hope you're doing well. The Professor 3-hour tour didn't have one. Yeah, there you go. When you shaved your beard in the middle of your first video, I thought it was your brother or someone doing the video. Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, Shady. I don't know why I did it while I was in the process of recording for that video. Um, yeah, consistency in my videos in terms of like how I look and dress and all that stuff. Like you can easily tell that one video was recorded in multiple days just because of my outfit changes and everything like that. Yeah, I want and it's funny because I was hoping that people would mention that in the comment section, and nobody really did. So I was like, well, I guess people didn't notice. Hey, it's Tim. Hey, buddy. Hope you're doing well. How are the plants? Actually, how are the lilies? Did they grow? Did you get any flowers? I know you got the lilies towards the mid to end of the season, but I'm curious to know how the water lilies are doing, and if you're gonna overwinter them. Are you gonna bring them in? The shrimp masters are here. You may be the shrimp master, but I'm the shrimp educator. No, I'm just joking. Speaking of which, Laura, in one of my saltwater videos, I did like a cutaway to like one of the fire red shrimp that I have in here, and they're big. Like I can guarantee you one of the shrimp in this tank is a female. She's big. Um, I got like 6 of them from the auction when I went to the ACLA picnic, and I only see 3 now. So I don't know where the others went, but the fact that there's still 3 in here, like, good look at, she's right there. You guys can't see them, but it's right there. But yeah, it's really refreshing getting shrimp again, because I don't know if you guys remember, I had the black rose shrimp, and they were breeding like crazy, and then the tank crashed, and so I was pretty disheartened. But it's really refreshing to see some little shrimpies swimming around. But yeah, they're doing really well. Um, Where's Grant and Shelby? They're shrimp gods. We aren't that level yet. That's true. Crip says Usama sent 2 clips from today. Oh, cool. I'll take a look at that. One lily still good, other one melted back, trying to throw new leaf up. No flowers in any of the lilies from you or from the club auction a month prior. Yeah, it could just be that, they just didn't have enough time to really to do that. If you're able to successfully overwinter them and then bring them back out next pond season, I think you should be good. Um, yeah, it sucks that one of them started melting back, but from my understanding, I think it's trying to to regrow. So hopefully, you know, you'll get that plant. I planted them way too late for this zone. Yeah, I figured that. I mean, you're in New York, I believe, and I'm Jersey, so you know our zones are pretty not exact but similar. So I remember when you got your water lilies, ordered your water lilies, I was not sure if they were going to bloom, but you know, you never know. Um, how do you recommend I winter the water lilies? So if you whatever you have them planted in, um, what you'll do is you'll basically get like a tub or a tote or like a Rubbermaid tote or anything that you can fill up with water, and will the vessel that you have the or the planter that you have the water lily planted in that can fit in there okay where it's submerged. um, you'll basically put it in there. You'll basically, if you have like a garage or even indoors in like your fish room or whatever, where it's still warm, for the most part, and away from the elements like the harsh cold elements, you'll basically place the tub there and then put your lilies in there, and make sure you give them a light source on a timer. And that's basically you overwintering them. A lot of gardens, like public gardens, will do that as well if they've got like, you know, large lilies and things like that. They have, you know, they have greenhouses where they will bring them in to overwinter them basically, and then when it is warm enough, they'll bring them back out and replant them or position them back into the ponds and lakes and all that stuff. um but yeah, that's how you would overwinter them. You basically have to bring them indoors, really. Yeah, Scotty, I am streaming. You're supposed to get notifications on that and check FishFam link to see um, if I am streaming or whoever's streaming. But yes, I am streaming. Talked quite a bit. I also talked about the Clash. You're gonna have to watch the replay or go on double time. Yep, let me catch up from beginning on double time. Yep. Perfect time to cover the topic Scotty was asking in Discord like a week ago. Really? I think he forgot that he works with me and he could have asked me in person. He hasn't asked me anything. Eating crab rangoons, watching my crabs. That is so evil, Laura. I like it. Oh, yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's all I got. Let me see what exactly I'm ordering in terms of hardscape like wood, because I don't remember. Stand by. Actually, why am I opening up a different browser? Let me just stay on Chrome. I know for a fact I'm getting in the Anubias species on driftwood, and then some plant weights, like packs of 10 plant weights, lead plant weights, that are way cheaper than the Aquatop ones that I used to carry. So they're a little bit more affordable, but still good quality. I can assure you of that. I'm just trying very much to not skimp on quality over price, to try to reduce my prices. You know, the stuff that I sell on Atlantic Aquariums might be very expensive, but they're high quality stuff. So if you want stuff that works and is reliable, you have to pay a little bit more for it, unfortunately. What am I doing? Excuse me. Okay. As of right now, what is coming in is the small size driftwood, Anubias on driftwood, large size Anubias on driftwood, Pacific wood or um, yeah, Pacific wood, both small and medium sizes. Small size of the spiderwood, and then a pack of 10, or excuse me, 10 pack lead weights, lead plant weights or plant anchors. I wonder if the other woods came in. Because I actually have a coworker who's getting a bigger tank, and she wanted Mapani wood. And technically, I can get in Mapani wood or Conga wood, as it's called sometimes, but my wholesaler has not been getting it in. Yep, not in. That sucks. And then neither are they getting in Malaysian driftwood, which is a classic. Yep, still not in stock. That sucks. Sorry. LG's like, what? I love shrimp too. I love shrimp too. One of my best friend, she invited me for dinner yesterday. We went to Red Lobster, and we both got the same dish. We got shrimp linguine alfredo, with the cheddar bay biscuits, obviously. Um, yeah, I love shrimp. They're yummy. Not the tiny shrimp, the shrimp that actually gives you sustenance. That sounds so wrong, Laura, but I like to eat coconut shrimp while feeding my shrimp that are hiding in a coconut shell. Yeah, not the ones that I'll be bringing in. They're usually pretty good. I used I used a plant weight for my Anubias petite that I have in the beta tank upstairs, and that thing is still rocking. Um, I just don't use them as often, but I know that there are people who like plant weights just to keep the plants anchored as they are trying to root, especially your stem plants or your Anubias, and so it's just something I like keeping on hand just in case. Are you bringing any RODI digital meters, Professor? Thank you for bringing that to my attention, because if there is a demand for it, I am more than happy. And I think you're referring to the one that Steven got from me. Um, I can definitely bring them in if there's a demand for it, for sure. You know, and Steven can attest to whether or not you guys should spend it, should get it. But yeah, Shady, I can definitely order. I'm not gonna order a lot. Probably maybe like 2 units, maybe. Um, but obviously, if there's more than 2 people that want it, I can definitely get more in. I'm just being very careful on what I order in, and even my mother was like, she was like, don't order anything because you're already struggling to sell stuff. But I'm like, no, I'm gonna still get a few things, but I'm not. I'm just not gonna. I'm not just gonna. I'm not gonna spend too much, if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, Shady. Let me know. I know you're. I know you don't know if you are going to come or not. Um, I do hope you do. But I can definitely get it in. Or if you are really interested in it, and obviously you can't come to the clash. Obviously, I'll still get it in, and then I can ship it to you. Um, which is what's perfectly fine. But it's nice to just get it from the clash because you're saving on shipping. Also, Scotty, never mind. I'll text you later about it because I keep forgetting to ask you about it. But it's something that would really help with the POS, with my POS system. But because last clash I had I had very big issue, and it really affected my ability to money. But anyway, Matt's here. Hey Matt, how you doing, buddy? What's happening? I should be in the basement working, but I'm exhausted. Shh, don't tell. Fair enough. Crip, because I'm one of Matt's favorites. That's why. He helped sponsor the macroalgae tank, so I can't really talk smack about him. Oh, I got a new plant. It's a sword, Echinoduris renai. Yeah, it's a sword plant. It's a renai sword. I have gotten renai. I have gotten Echinoduris renai from Tropica a few times. Not really a bestseller for me, so I don't have it. I do have swords in stock currently. What do I have? I have the ruffled sword, Echinoduris Mardii, and then I have the marble queen sword, and I think that's it. Oh no, I also have the Venezuela's the not the Venezuela, the Vesuvius sword, the corkscrew, Echinoduris. So I have 3 swords in stock currently. And then I have Tiger Lotus. I've got the Crypt Cordata, which the old leaves melted back, but I've gotten newer growth, and it looks so cool. It's like it's like ruffled leaves, and it's very close to coloration of like pink, like almost like Crypt Flamingo, but it's not. And so it's pretty fascinating. And then obviously I have the Ludwigia plustris super red and the Ludwigia ovalis, which is like the plustris super red is like super red. It's really cool. Yeah. But yeah, I have 3 swords in stock. I have like the ruffled sword. I have 1. Yeah, ruffled sword. I have 1, and then the marble queen. I think I only have 1 as well. But yeah. And then I finally got Bucephalandra in. I got the Bucephalandra Ketagang in. I still have the wavy green or the Baguette Clem, but I finally got Ketagang in, which is cool. But yeah. Yeah, as much as I love having a nice variety of plant selections, this year I'm kind of holding back on the plant selection to basically what I have in stock is what it's going to be. Minus obviously the Anubison driftwood. They are eating the shrimp. What's eating the shrimp? Did I miss something? I have some crypts, tiny and never stays down. It tiny and never stays down. Oh, okay. It's a floater. That's interesting. Can you mod me so I can share your store links when you talk about your products? Well, usually Zen's pretty good about that. I mean, I will make you a mod on the Atlantic Aquariums channel, because one of the things I wanted to do for the live streams on Atlantic Aquariums is those that have constantly supported Atlantic Aquariums. I want, they're the true supporters. They're the true MVPs in my opinion. And Tim, you're obviously a big supporter. I appreciate that. So I'll definitely be making you a moderator for that. But the fact that you're mentioning that means that some of my mods aren't doing their jobs. And speaking of which, there's Steven giving his 2 cents about the monitor. It's a handy little device. I appreciate that. Hopefully the one that you got is still working okay. But yeah, if anybody wants that, they want to buy that at the event, I'll definitely make sure to bring some over. Shrimp people need one for Cardinia. That is true. That is true. Sure, I'll bring some over. But the thing is like right now, I'll probably just bring like 2, maybe. But if there's a bigger demand for it, or I can do this. I will. Is it? Hang on, give me 1 second. In case people don't know what I'm talking about, let's go to the website. Store aquarium equipment and supplies. I really wanted to bring this to the Clash, but I just don't have the ability to order it in right now because I don't know if people will even get it. Here it is, the TDS monitor. So there's different kinds. So there's this one here, which is just one base unit, and then you have the single unit, but it's the probe is hooked to a cord, so you have a little bit of how you can set it up. This is what is most popular, and what I would recommend is the dual probe TDS meter, because one probe will go into the to the line where the water's coming out of the RODI unit, and the other one is going to go into the line where the water from your water source is coming in to the RODI unit. And the reason for that is you want to see basically, let's say you've got, I don't know, 200 TDS coming into the RODI unit, and obviously, let's imagine it's 0 TDS coming out of the unit, right? The moment the out value goes up, that means your RODI unit needs to be maintained. It's no longer taking out everything, right? And so that's the benefit of having the two, is to make sure that your RODI is working properly. And it also gives you an idea of how, if you're somebody like me, to keep track of how often or how much your RODI unit is working. And not only that, it gives you an idea of what your actual TDS is. So that way, because the amount of TDS in your water determines the life of the filter cartridges of your RODI unit. And so having something like this hooked up to your RODI unit is definitely something that I strongly recommend. So the two probe one is most likely what I will bring in, just because I think it's just something that'll work, Brad. It does go for $32.99, obviously, but definitely something I would strongly recommend. With the one probe one, I would put that probe on the output of your RDI unit, so that way, as long as it's reading 0, your RDI unit is working. If it starts going up in the value, that means that the RDI unit's filters need to be replaced or maintained. Yeah. Maybe I'll get one of each. Maybe I'll get a one probe one and a 2 probe one. I don't know. We'll see. Actually, wait. That might not even be the accurate price. So the 2-prong one is, I think, the TDS 200. Yes. So the TDS 200 is $42.99. The TDS 100, the 1-prong one, is $32.99. My bad. And then I think the 100, regular 100, is also the same price. And then the 300, which is the 3-prong one, is $52.99. Also, what's really cool is the company that makes this, Auto Aqua. They've actually collaborated with Hydros, which is a monitoring system. So what they've done is they have basically created the same probes, but you can hook it up to the Hydros, and when you log into your Hydros database, you can see the TDS values on the thing. So if you're out somewhere and you open up your phone, you can actually see what the TDS is, which is really cool. But yeah. And obviously Steven hasn't written a review yet. But that's okay. Just make sure you log in before you write a review so you can get rewards points. Hey, it's Ian. I have not seen you in a while, my dude. Where have you been? Good Lord. Hope you're doing well. Scotty says, in reference to tank size for a guppy, 2.5. Got it. That's what I'll put in. Scotty, the submission for the fish show, I'll have that submitted today, hopefully. Current viewers, none. Cool. Max viewers, none. All-time max viewers, 31. Participants, none. Like count, none. Interesting. That's all right. I will be there Wednesday if I can go, so I'll be the first one to raid your table. That's fine. That's the one I wanted. I'm assuming you're talking about the two probe one. Noted. I'll get it in. Yeah, I have to replace the filter about once a year. Yeah. Like again, it depends on the TDS of your water coming in, how often it's running, things like that. Definitely determines the lifespan of your filters for the RDA unit. Like the RDI that we use, the aquatop, the not the aquatop, the aquatic life, our twist in RODI unit, the 100 gallon per day for our lab. It was graciously donated by Aquatic Life, but it was something that we wanted to get in, and that we replaced every 6 months. Some of the filters are recommended to be replaced every 6 months or so, and then the other one, like the resin, you don't change until it changes a particular color, and then you would replace that. But we would stock up on the filters so that way, we don't have to continuously place a purchase request for them. Ian says, I wish I bought a triple instead of a double. Well, you still can. Let me know. I'll get it in. Do they make TDS probes that can stay in the aquarium and beep or alert a phone app when it swings out of a set range? Yeah, the Hydros one. No, I'm just okay. Not with the TDS, I don't think, because with TDS, it's either it's the pen. It's like the Milwaukee TDS meter that I have on my website. That's the only thing just to test your TDS in the tank. In terms of like an actual probe, there are, but it's not going to be something you can put in the main display. It's going to be basically connected to your RODI unit. Because that's usually what people want to monitor. They're not trying to monitor the TDS of the water in your tank. They're trying to constantly monitor the TDS that is coming out of the RODI. If you're looking to test the TDS in your tank, you can just use the pen. But I could kind of understand why you would want something like that. But I don't, from my understanding, I don't think there is something like that. But it'd be cool if it did. I'm surprised they don't. Laura says, I don't know. I just check my tub, make sure it's zero occasionally. Fair enough. How are you supposed to determine which fish to take to the fish show? I have so many, and they are so beautiful, or they're so beautiful. Then put all of them in. Actually, no, don't do that because you have a lot of fish, and that could be, I don't know. You've got a lot of beautiful killies. You know, you should be, you know, the boss of the killie portion of the fish show. Like, we all expect you to put some killifish in the fish show. So, you know, like that one killifish, I don't know the scientific name of it, the one that's like bright orange. You showed me once when I came over your house. That one you definitely should bring to the fish show. Grant has a 40-ounce nano tank with a sump. TDS swings would be a nightmare to manually monitor for. Yeah. And the tank that you're referring to is usually set up for saltwater. So yeah, yeah. Don't get that type of a tank unless you are really comfortable with maintaining water quality. Because the smaller your tank is, the harder it is to maintain water quality. It's a pretty nifty tank. It's pretty cool for, you know, as like a conversation starter, if you will, but I don't recommend that for somebody who's a beginner. Yeah. For after the membrane. Yes, yes, you're that exactly. So you would have one probe that's before water gets into the RODI unit. You have one for the line with the water coming out of the RODI unit, and then the third one would be right after the membrane. That makes sense. Steven says, "Oops." I think he's probably referring to the review. Sorry, I'm a little behind. I apologize. I want a few diffusers that have replacement screens or replacement diffusers. Shady, the Tropica CO2 diffuser is a great one. The 3-in-1 diffuser that Steven got from me as well. That's a good one for you. You literally screw the cap and you can take the disc out, and there are replacement discs for it. I don't have any replacement discs in stock, unfortunately. In order for me to get them in, I have to place a big order from Tropica of other things that I don't need currently. So the only thing I'm really going to be bringing is the actual diffuser. But if you want to get multiple diffusers, then I've got maybe 3 or 2 CO2 diffusers for the Tropica ones. So you're more than welcome to get that. That's something I would definitely recommend. Gotcha. And size. I just have a tiny RO buddy and a lot of tanks. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I actually have. I personally use RODI units, but I realize that there are people, especially in the freshwater world, who don't need pure freshwater, and so the RO unit is perfectly fine. And so I actually put the Aquatic Life RO Buddy, the 100 gallon per day one. I put that on the site as well. And then you've got the Aquatic Life Smart Buddy booster pump, which is supposed to make it more efficient. And then obviously you have the Aquatic Life twist in 4-stage unit as well, which is what I use personally. Yeah, the resin. I have the BRS 75 gallon per day. Yeah. To me the Aquatic Life one is just easier to like replace the cartridges. It's twist in. It's slim, so it doesn't take up. It's not bulky, and it's easy to install. You know, I do like it. Maybe I should get the 3-prong after Atkins argument. I will probably, but the best one you. I will probably buy the best one you have anyway. I'll try to get multiple units, but it's mostly just going to be one. And what I'll probably just do is get one of each. So the 1 probe one, the 2 probe one, and the 3 probe one. But again, it's like I need to know how many people are interested in it in order for me, because the last thing I want is to just get one of each and then sell them, and then have other people coming up. It's like, oh, do you have the TDS monitors or anything like that? And I'm just like, I do technically, but I'm sold out of them now. um, yeah, so I have to figure out, because obviously it looks like there's a lot of interest for those. So I have to think about that. Sweet. Atkins says, you can do it. You just have to use one of the inline TDS meters with a small pump connected to the RODI line. Yeah. Oh, chat. It just jumped. The problem I have with most, maybe all TDS meters is that, yeah, they'll measure the total TDS, but they never break down what the TDS is reading. Yes. So Whip, for that, you have to do a full water test. Basically a um, an in-depth water analysis, in order to figure out exactly what is in your water in terms of dissolved solids. Hang on. I don't know if I have it on my webpage because I took it out, but yeah, I took it out. It's basically from ATI. There was another company that I was working with for the water analysis. Unfortunately, that company went out of business, which is very upsetting because I actually liked the way that they did things. So the next thing is basically is the ATI ICP analysis. You would basically get a water sample and send it out for them to test, and they will give you online through your account. They'll give you a full breakdown of every chemical or every chemical that's in your water. But yeah. That is true. That is true, Atkins. But it's like you have to buy the hydros unit, get the TDS meter, hook that up, and then you can get it monitored to your thing. But yeah, Crypt, that is something you can look into. Is hydros. Because I don't know if you just get the TDS meter by itself, if it'll still work without the base unit. Atkins, you might know more than me with that. But if that is the case, then I can. I'm starting to add hydros products onto the website, and I can definitely make sure to add that version of the TDS meter as something available. And then Tim, if you're ever interested in something like that, you'll definitely be able to get that in. Laura's adding her Gardnerize again. Nice, nice. We've got Nabokov. Welcome. It's good to see you, my friend. Does the TDS tester thingy need to be calibrated often? I hate calibrating meters. Yes, so not as often, but it definitely helps to calibrate it. It's like what I mentioned earlier. The better you maintain your equipment, the more accurate they will be. It'll be annoying, but it's best for the lifespan of the meter. The more you take care of it, the longer it will last, the more accurate it will be. And in terms of how frequently you need to calibrate, it depends on how frequently it's being used. If it's constantly being used, you want to make sure that you're keeping up with how often you need to calibrate it. And the best way to calibrate it is basically getting RODI unit that has 0 TDS in it, and then put the probe in there to see what it's reading for TDS. It should all probes should read 0. If it's not reading 0, then you calibrate it to be 0. And then hook it back up, and it should be perfectly fine, if that makes sense. But it's basically the solution you would be using to calibrate has to be lab grade, basically, in a sense, where for a fact that this is RODI water that is 0 TDS. And so when you put the probe in, the meter should say 0. If it doesn't say 0, you have to calibrate it, and then you can just calibrate it to be 0. It's usually not that complicated to do it. I know the Hanna instruments is not the like the salinity, not the salinity, there's a tester that's pretty easy to calibrate, but the TDS, the meters, is shouldn't be that hard to calibrate it. But I do recommend calibrating your testers, because the better you take care of them, the better um, they will give you results. And auto shut off, because I forgot, and flood floor all the time. Best thing about yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. Um, that's what we had, was the RODI unit that we made would go into a barrel almost, and the RODI contained, the RODI reservoir that we got was donated, and it was mainly used to mix salt water. But you hooked up the RODI unit to it, it would fill up, you would put salt in there, and there was a pump in there that would circulate the water, if that makes sense. And then when you needed to fill something up, you would hook a hose to it, open the valve, and it would pump the water out. Pretty cool thing. But we used it to house fresh water, RODI water, and then when we needed to make salt water, we would then pump that fresh water into a brute trash can with another pump in it, and then we would add the salt, have it mixed with a heater in there, and then once it's up to the salinity we needed to be, then we would hook a hose to the submersed pump in there, and then turn on the pump, and it would pump the salt water out. But yeah, that freshwater reservoir had a float valve, so when it finally filled up, it would shut the thing. But the lab supervisor was very, very not trusting of the float valve, and so we had, every time we closed the lab, we had to shut the RODI, regardless if it filled the container up or not. We had to shut the RODI unit off. But there were times where we literally were like, we need the water, so you can't shut it off. And they were like, all right, we'll keep it running overnight. And we never had any leaks or anything. So yeah. Shay says, I hope your table is not too close to mine, Professor. I will be broke before Friday morning. I mean, Keystone Clash just posted the layout, the vendor room layout, so you can definitely take a look at that. If you're looking at the layout like this way, I'm on this side by the wall, closest to the entrance. Keep in mind, I'm not going to be setting up my booth until Thursday night, because I have something on from 2:30 to 4:30 on Thursdays. And so after 4:30 is when I will bring, not everything, mostly the macroalgae tank and the plant tanks. I'll probably bring those with the tables. I'll bring those first, set all that up, and then the everything else I won't bring until Friday morning. So yeah, you might not be broke yet until Friday. I'm gonna steal his low boy when he's not looking. No, you're not. I mean, to be honest with you, if I do end up missing a low boy, Laura, I'll know who did it. Now that you just told me, so keep that in mind. I mean, to be fair, there will be times where I won't be at my table, because I will be helping with some other stuff related to contest wise. And so there may be times where I'll have to leave the booth, but I've been very lucky to have neighbors who watched over the table. Even with that, like and I talked about this before as well, where like there have been instances where people have stolen stuff from me. The number one thing that I've had stolen was the Tropica 50th anniversary books. It is not for free. You do have to pay for it. It's $9.99. But I would always notice that the amount of books, the stack would just get smaller and smaller and smaller. And so, but there were a few other things that I would notice. You know, it got to the point where, like, when my mom was helping me set up last year, she literally told me to take a picture of the table, so that way when I come the next day, I can double check to make sure if anything was stolen or not. But it doesn't happen as often. But it's still a little disheartening, you know. But Ian says, I have to drive for a bit. Hopefully, I'm back before you get off stream. Oh, good. We're just trying to catch up on chat and then answer any questions along the way. But, you know, I want to get off as soon as possible because there are other people that'll probably, I think, are scheduled to go live after me. Sorry, I had to grab my charger because my laptop's going to die soon. But yeah, I don't want to take too much of everybody's time. Nalaka says, filter cleaned, all hardscape removed from the shrimp tank. I just don't have the energy to tear apart and fix the inline CO2 diffuser. I don't know why they don't have quick disconnects on those. Interesting. Nabokov, what brand is it, if you don't mind sharing? I am boss of it all. I mean, true. I mean like having a clean sweep in the killifish portion, if that makes sense. That's what I was I meant to say. And I think some people might disagree with that last remark. I'm boss of it all. Are you? Are you really? But yeah, Scotty, make sure that you are free on Sunday for a little bit because you're going to be the one who's going to pick the winning ticket for the macroalgae tank. And I'm not going to accept anybody else. It has to be you. Water tester meter, people need to do better. They should have a tablet that has wires coming out that goes to each tank and it connects to your phone and constantly tells you all the parameters. Yeah, it's called Hydros or Neptune Apex. I mean, obviously you can't bring it to all the tanks, but you can hook it up to a tank and it will tell you all the parameters. Or you can get a handheld probe that we use at the aquarium, Scotty. So you can ask Kevin about that. But even those aren't that reliable. Like we have a meter that measures dissolved oxygen, and even that thing gives issues. So yeah. I'm sure there's a Raspberry Pi aquarium project out there of each tank constantly, and no calibrating needed. Get with the times, manufacturers. Even the most expensive, high quality, accurate lab equipment still needs to be calibrated. You can't make anything that cannot be calibrated because there's so many factors that can make a result not as accurate, if that makes sense. So you have to calibrate it, whether it's you only have to calibrate it once a year, maybe twice a year, or you have to calibrate every 6 months. It all depends on what the equipment is and what the manufacturer recommends. People tend to diss manufacturer recommendations, but when it comes to stuff like this, I'm being honest with you as a scientist. Consider their recommendations. Okay, they're the ones that made it. Okay, they know when you're supposed to do it. And it's like, and so like it definitely would be great to have equipment that you don't have to calibrate, but as of right now I can guarantee you it's not going to happen anytime soon. Even the highest quality lab equipment has to be calibrated at some point. And in my opinion, maintaining your equipment, things like that, and everything like that, I think is part of the aquarium keeping experience, right? And I love every single aspect of it. You know, not just the fish keeping, but maintaining the equipment. Um, because when I'm doing water quality testing and things like that, I feel like a chemist. When I am taking care of the animals, I feel like a biologist. When I am plumbing tanks or problem solving equipment, I feel like an engineer. So it's all of that is in this hobby, and as much as we want to, you can't escape it. And so I think the fact that you have to calibrate equipment, I think, is great. It's part of the experience. If you want to keep tanks and you want to make sure that you're testing the water properly, you have to do it. If you want to get accurate results, but it can be annoying. I also understand that. My friend had a baby and it has pajamas that monitor heart rate, breathing, sleeping patterns, and a camera. It's crazy. Yeah, they've got like the little booties. Those have cameras or like a tracking sensor, so you can kind of track where the baby is if it's crawling and things like that. Absolutely crazy. You know, back when I was a kid and like my aunts and all that, everybody were still having babies. Like the baby monitors used to just be like one way speakers, right? So you could hear if the baby was crying or anything, you can hear them. And now, not only is it speakers, it's a full monitor with a camera, so you can also see it. And not only that, you don't even need a base unit that you put on like your nightstand or a table or whatever. You can watch it on your phone. Like it's gone so big, for sure. Sorry, I'm just going through. We will have to draw it before the auction. Yeah, obviously, because I kind of want to be there in time for the auction. I might get to the auction late as well because my main priority will be to help whoever wins the macroalgae tank to break it down so that way they can, you know, pack everything up and take it. And then obviously I have to break down my booth as well. So Sunday's going to be very busy. I'm just realizing that. Oh my god. But I'm hopefully gonna bring like a little a cart or I don't remember a dolly to help with carrying boxes and all that stuff, so I don't blow my back like I always do. Um, if there is a fight on who is boss at Clash, I'm standing behind a net. Laura, you'll be behind a net. I'll be behind Jenna. Adding to the gene pool isn't a bad thing. No, it's not. You got to keep that genetic diversity. And I've caught up with chat. Cool. Um, cool. So that's all I have. Obviously, I need to figure out the TDS meter thingy because a lot of you are very interested in that stuff. So I'm gonna probably have to order that stuff in too. I just have to figure out which units and how many I should bring in because I would really like to not bring stuff back home. Um, but yeah, I'll definitely bring the TDS meters there because a lot of people apparently are very interested in it. So for sure. But yeah, that's all I have on my end. If anybody else has any questions or anything else, we've been going for an hour and 25 minutes or so. But you know, as long as chat is active, I'll stay. I don't have any issues with not staying, or I don't have any issues staying. I promise I can speak English. I highly suggest the collapsible wagon on the company that will not be named. It is under $100 and strong. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna go to like Home Depot or yeah, Home Depot and just get that little dolly, things like that. It should be fine because it's easy to store as well. Because that's literally the only thing I will need it is when I'm going to shows or anything else like that, and it can still be used for home use as well. Um, but yeah, but I have to do that soon. I'll probably do that when I'm going to Home Depot to get the tables. I'll also look at the dollies and get that, and if I have to, I can just return it after I use it. Also, maybe I don't know. Yeah, exactly, Laura. Yeah. But yeah, it's something my mom was even pushing for because she saw me when she came to help that I was carrying, and um, it's hard on me physically, and on top of that, it's very time consuming because I have to keep going. Because where my booth is compared to where the entrance for vendors to come in is very far. And not only that, if I don't get a parking spot right next to the door or right in front of the doorway, I don't know how much I have to walk too. So it's just way easier for me to just get something where I can stack stuff, and then bring it. Obviously, the tanks I have to carry one by one. I'm not putting that on anything like that. But like the boxes and the dry goods and all that stuff, um, that'll definitely come in handy for sure. Um, yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited about the Clash. Um, it's literally the only right now. It's literally the only aquarium show that you know that I go to. Professor, you are across from my table, so I will bring a big bag of rubber bands to share with Ed Whip and Rico. Yeah, oh, you just reminded me, um, Shady, that actually no, I think I have enough rubber bands. Never mind. But I remember last year I forgot to bring rubber bands, and I can't remember who they were, but I was just walking around trying to see if anybody had like extra rubber bands, and I think one vendor kind of heard me looking for oh, my hair's peeking out. Sorry about that. That I was looking for rubber bands, and they were like, "We've got plenty of bags of rubber bands," and so uh, she brought one over, and then I was gonna pay her for the rubber bands, but like my mom, in perfect Daisy fashion, just kept tapping me. She was like, "Make sure you ask her how much it was and pay her back." And I was like, "I'm going to. Don't worry." And I go and I asked her. I was like, "How much were the rubber bands? How much are the rubber bands?" And she was like, "Don't worry about it. We've got plenty of them." And so it was very nice of her, and saved me a lot of headache. Um, I'm sure I have enough Tropica plant bags. I know I'm running low on those too, so probably the next time I place a dry goods order from Tropica, which I don't know when that's going to be, I definitely have to order more, but I should have enough for the Clash. I also have like the smaller fish bags, like the single fish bags that I can also just use. I'll definitely bring that with me as well. Um, but yeah, pretty excited. Pretty excited. Um, Yeah, I'll take a look at it. I don't it's not a big issue for me. If I just have to carry the tanks, that's perfectly fine. Because I'm only bringing 3 tanks. It's the 10-gallon, which now is going to be a little bit more heavy because it's going to have sand and rock in it. Um, and then I'm most likely just going to be bringing these 2 tanks because I'm not bringing a lot of plants in, so I don't need the third tank. Um, so I just need those 2 tanks, and so it's not going to be bad. It shouldn't be bad. Shady says, I have one that I'm planning to bring. Professor, you can borrow mine. Oh, that's very kind of you. But yeah, I'm gonna still bring. I'm still gonna bring my own because you know, I can use it for other purposes as well. But I do appreciate that. Because the thing is like before I would borrow the hotel carts, right? But like it's only like one or two, and you've got so many people using that, and so it's just easier for me to just bring my own thing. We've got Big Steve, welcome. Glad you can stop by. We're actually finishing up, to be honest with you, but you're more than welcome to watch the replay. Scotty is asking me why I'm not bringing a lot of plants. Well, the Scotty, I just can't afford another plant order. Sorry. So because I have, you know, things are happening in my personal life that I need to save money for, and so you know, I can't really order much. I am ordering like Anubis on driftwood, and I'm ordering driftwood, like the spider wood and the not the Mapani, the Pacific wood, and then plant weights, and then obviously I'm gonna try my best to get in the TDS meters, but that's pretty much all that I'm going to order in. Um, even for that, I have to wait until I get my next paycheck. But yeah, I mean, I still got a decent variety of aquatic plants, but I just can't afford an order right now. So yeah, I do apologize, guys, but you know, there will be a lot of great plant vendors there. Obviously, the Garden of Eden is going to be there, so they usually have a nice selection of plants. But yeah, and then you have the auction as well. So, but yeah. Cool. Any other questions, comments, concerns before class is dismissed? Sorry, I'm just thinking in my head if I'm missing anything. Probably not. But yeah, unless anybody else has any other questions, comments, or concerns, again, 2 episodes of the series for the planted saltwater tank are live now. So feel free to. Oh yeah, that's right. Koshin is also there, and I think Koshin has plants as well. So there you go. Yeah, make sure to watch the videos. Zen or Scotty or any of the moderators, if you can post the link to the playlist, that would be much appreciated. And then let me know what you guys think in the comments section for those videos. But yeah, so with that being said, I appreciate you guys stopping by. I hope you learned. I hope you guys learned something, and I know I learn from you guys all the time, and I appreciate that. And make sure you hit that notification bell and the subscription button if you haven't subscribed already, and that way you don't miss another live stream or video. And with that being said, make sure you do your water changes, and I will see you guys around, maybe at the Clash. But yeah, take care.